Hello, it's Kubo, and welcome to part 2 of the guide on Dream Life Parade. In part 1, we talk about the basics of the event. If you haven't watched it, make sure to do so because this part builds up from part 1. Part 2 will be about strategy. Let's get started. Before starting my long rant about the mechanics, let me list out a few beginner tips. First, don't use your UR first. Seriously, you'll regret it, alright? Your objective is to get just enough voltage to clear the stage. Overshooting won't help. Start with R and SR members. Early stages usually encourage 1 or 2 shots. Try working around SRs if you can afford a 1 shot. Second, you must pass every AC, unless you are going for a suicide run. Suicide run is recommended when you need just a little bit more to clear the stage. Use 9 of your weakest members for it. Third, save your performance drink for your best members only. Also, it's usually better to use performance drink after you receive the full restore, as the stages you face by then will be harder. Fourth, stamina is extremely important. There can never be enough defenders. It's better to overstock your defender than to not have enough of them. This event challenges your resource management and team building skills. You may not see it, but this event is divided into 3 phases: preparation phase, planning phase, and team building phase. Team building phase is important, but ultimately the first 2 phases are the main determining factor on how far you will progress due to limited PP. The most important part of this event is not the part where you start playing, but the part before you play. The part where you plan and prepare. First is the preparation phase. Upgrade your defender first, even SR ones. I repeat, prepare your defender first. There are fewer defenders than scorer in the game. Every card can be used as a scorer, but not every card can be a defender. If you run out of defender, your run is pretty much doomed. You can argue that a good scorer helps you preserve PP by clearing a stage faster, but in order for scorer to work properly, you need a defender to help you survive. Stamina stakes are also quite good in this event because your stamina is too low, but it's not the highest priority. You don't have enough macaroons to upgrade everything in the skill tree. You may have enough for URs, but not for every SRs. Choose useful ones to upgrade and upgrade your weakest attribute first. You can watch my videos on which SR scorer and defender to prioritize, links in the description. Also, SR healers are better than shooters because they have better scaling. To put it simply, the priority of cards you should upgrade goes like this: UR defender and scorer, SR defender, top tier SR scorer, UR stamina stick, and others. If you want, you can save your macaroons until the event announces, then upgrade the members who have bonus PP. Note down every single appeal boosting support you have because you need every single amount of appeal you can squeeze out. Get good appeal plus insight skills on your best members. Level all your cards to max level using gold and experience, but no need to upgrade all skill tree. Upgrade your bond board too. Fully prepare your accessories because members have PP, accessories don't. You can use the same accessory as many times as you like in this event. 3 brooches for main strategy, bracelets or necklace for side strategy. Necklaces are very useful because this event has its own stamina damage for each stage. Some have very high damage, and you are especially vulnerable because you'll be using weak members very often. The preparation phase also includes the part when you collect members. You don't need to alter the way you scout because we all have our own scouting preference, but what you should be more aware of is event cards. Event defenders, especially those with decent stamina, are highly valued due to our lack of defenders. You may want to push for them if you have the resources too. Appeal boosting support and voltage type scorers are also suitable targets, though not as important as defenders. That was the preparation phase. Next is the planning phase. Now this phase is the most important phase and the longest. The info for all stages can be found in this website by Suyo, link in the description. Make sure to check it out because I will be using this as reference. Before you play, plan ahead. There are 3 steps you need to do when planning. Step 1. Plan how far you will reach based on how many total PP you have. Step 2. Find the attributes that appeal the least and the most. Step 3. Note down exhausting and tricky stages and save your members accordingly. Keep in mind that stage 1 to 5 are intermediate difficulty. These stages shouldn't be a huge problem. Stage 6 onwards are advanced difficulty. Also, DLP stages have their own stamina damage unlike normal ones. Many songs have lower stamina damage than usual. There are also many stages that have higher damage than original, especially the last few stages. Here's a table I made on how many tries you need to clear every DLP stage. I divide the voltage requirement with the original S-rank requirement of the song because the original S-rank requirement is usually how much voltage you get per play if you build properly. Now this is just an estimation and it is not precise because it takes fewer plays if you use a strong member. And there is no way you take 9 tries to clear the final stages because they are so hard you need to use your best members. But it does let you estimate how far you will advance with the members you have and see how much resource is needed for each attribute. This table is not suitable for players who have many max limit break members like whales. Also, if you are a whale, you don't need this table anyway because you won't have any problem completing this event. First, calculate how many total PP you have. I'm using the Aqua DLP as an example. I have a total of 337 PP. Divided by 9 members, I can play 37 times with 4 members left. I compare it with the total play needed. I will reach stage 19. I include 2 more stages in my planning because the table is not precise. I should plan my members for 21 stages. In real, I cleared stage 21 and stopped at stage 22. The last 9 stages should be ignored since I won't reach them. You can find this table linked in the description. If you can't access this table, you can calculate it yourself too. Take the DLP requirement for each state and divide it by the song's original S-rank requirement to estimate how far you will advance. Then I go to step 2. I identify the most needed and least needed attribute. In 21 stages, cool and natural are used 8 times each. Natural stages are harder, especially when 3 of them appear together. That's the attributes I should save my members and find a substitution for it. The substitution will be the least used attribute. In this case, it's Smile and Active. I only need to play Smile 3 times and they are all in intermediate difficulty. Active attribute is mostly used for stage 19. The table only shows 1, but it's best you keep in mind 2 most needed and 2 least needed attributes each. I should save cool and natural members by using Smile and Active if possible. In fact, you can even save OP scorers of the least used attribute for hard song of the most used attribute. Let's say if you have very strong scorers of the attributes like Fast Honoka and Fast Setsuna. Use these members to help you get through hard stages faster. But before that, we need to redefine which stages are hard. This is where step 3 comes in. Note down exhausting and tricky stages and assign your members accordingly. Now this step is a complicated one because it involves understanding song features. In DLP, the difficulty of a stage is determined by 2 factors. The main factor is the song's AC voltage. The secondary factor is how tricky the song is. In other events, if an easy song is chosen as the event song, like an exchange event or SPL, this is a good thing. But this is the opposite in DLP. Songs with high original life power is not necessarily a hard stage because they tend to give high appeal chance voltage, whereas songs with low original requirements like Start Dash and Toriko Rico Please are harder to complete in DLP due to their lower AC voltage. You can see AC voltage from Studio's website I just mentioned. Anyway, you need to generate more voltage yourself so you exhaust more PP on easy stages. Many hard stages are also not hard to clear because their ACs are cheesable. Typical voltage ACs can be cheesed by saving your SP skill. Seriously, save your SP skill for voltage ACs. Appeal presenting ACs and hitting great ACs can be cleared by any card. Many hard songs can be cheesed by cheesing the ACs and reap the high AC voltage even using a weak team. For high AC voltage songs that has cheesable ACs, it is recommended to use members with just enough power to pass the song. Your strong scorers should mostly be used on easy songs with low AC voltage instead. So let's rephrase it. Songs with low AC voltage are the exhausting stages. Exhausting stages are where your strong scorers should be used. The difficulty of the stages is mainly determined by their total AC voltage. For example, between the 3 songs, Toriko Rico Please, Thrilling One Way, Audrey, normally their difficulty from easy to difficult is Toriko, Thrilling and Audrey, but in DLP, Toriko is the most exhausting one because it gives the least AC voltage, 440k. Audrey gives 1.6 million while Thrilling One Way gives 2.3 million. Thrilling One Way is the easiest among the 3. Some songs have features that cannot be cheesed. These songs are tricky stages. Most of them are not exhausting. You don't need to use your best scorers for this, but you need to use a specific group of cards to counter these features. There are 5 features that makes a song tricky. Number 1. Songs that buffs or debuffs a specific type of character such as Yumen or Tobiya that debuffs SP type. Number 2. Songs that have an early SP appeal chance like Borarara, My Own Fairy Tale and Melody. These require an SP filler side strategy. Number 3. Songs with high stamina damage like Kokoro Magic, Step 0 to 1, Kimirai, Shioriko's first solo of death, or basically every late stages of DLP. This is countered by a guard type side strategy or a high stamina defender. Number 4. Songs with high SP voltage requirements like Borara's third AC. 140k SP voltage, clearing it in 2 tries requires 70k SP voltage. Natsuiro's first AC also requires 70k SP voltage. This is hard to do when you are using weak teams. You can always squeeze another SP out by using 3 SP types, but then again, that's using a specific group of members. Sometimes the AC might not even be long enough for you to squeeze another SP out. Number 5. Skill activation and critical ACs have not appeared in DLP yet, but even if it does, there's usually a way to work around with. They usually don't exhaust your good members. There are many more examples, like Genki Zenkai's Deadly Song Gimmick and Snow Halation's Song Gimmick that decreases all members' appeal, which calls for a cleanser, but in short, a tricky stage is a song with features that cannot be cheesed and requires specific counters. It will be harder to clear them without the correct group of cards. The hardest among them all is the hybrid of an exhausting and tricky stage. So Genki Zenkai Day Day Day, Kokoro Magic A to Z, and Snow Halation are very deadly stages innately because they are tricky and have lower AC voltage. Whereas Shiroriko Solo and many other tricky stages are only tricky. They are not exhausting. They use a specific group of cards, but they don't use a lot. Which brings me to the next point, where to use your strong members. The correct time to use your strong scorers depends on AC voltage. The lower the AC voltage, the stronger the scorer you use. Low AC voltage songs usually have lower than 8100 original life power requirement, not the DLP requirement. The DLP requirement is not reliable. Follow this priority when planning your scorers. Tricky stages with low AC voltage is the first, then low AC voltage, then other tricky stages, then cheesable high AC voltage stages. Tricky stages usually don't call for a strong scorer, it calls for a specific group of cards, and you can choose to use a weak card of the group. Here's an example. Between 3 pure stages, where should I use Fast Chica on? Identify what kind of stages they are, and it will be obvious to use Fast Chica on Snow Halation. Snow Halation is a tricky stage because it must be cleansed, and it gives low AC voltage. The next priority is Aozora, then Yume no Tobira. If there is no exhausting and tricky stages, then use it for an exhausting stage only. Among the 3 elegant songs I showed you just now, none of the stages are exhausting and tricky. So your strongest elegant scorer goes to Toriko Rico Please, which has the lowest AC voltage. These examples are just general guidelines. There are situations where you are forced to use your strong scorer on a high AC voltage stage. The last thing you want to do is follow the guideline rigidly without giving a second thought on whether it is suitable for your situation or not. When to use a strong defender is relatively straightforward. Just use them in high stamina damage stages. The last few stages of DLP always have high stamina damage, strong defenders are a must. In case your defender is not good enough but you don't want to use a stronger defender, use a stamina stick in side strategy, but don't use more than 2 of them. In that case, you should just use a better defender. Cleansers deserve its own discussion too. You have limited cleansers. Cleansers allow you to use members of non-matching attribute. Use them if you are short on one attribute. Also, Snow Halation is the song you must cleanse because the song gimmick decreases appeal of all members. Not even matching attribute can bypass this. On a side note, SP cleansers are more effective in songs where you can activate SP early. These songs charge your SP gauge fast through an early SP node gimmick. A few examples are Aozoran Jumping Heart, Mirai Boku, and Heart to Heart. You can also do the same for songs that starts with an appeal chance like Chase. Clearing appeal chance early means proccing bracelets early, hence earlier SP activation. Some songs require cleansing, while some songs are manageable without matching attribute. These stages allow you to use non-matching attribute members without a cleanser. Psychic Fire decreases SP charge rate of all members only by 5%. This is manageable. No Exit Orion decreases skill activation rate by 10%. That skill rate does not cause a huge drop in voltage, but it does decrease the effectiveness of defenders, so you may want to use 2 scorers of another attribute and a cool attribute defender if you decide to save on cool scorers. You can do the same with Telepathy and Genki Zenkai too because they decrease base skill activation chance. Only your defender needs to match attribute. Wonderland You also deserves her own discussion. Her active is very strong for songs with more than 1000 damage per node. This is very common at late stages of DLP. Make sure to save her for those songs. You can also buff the song's damage over 1000 by using VO Demerit. If you do so, remember to not use any necklace. That's the end of the planning phase. Finally, it's the team building phase. I know these are basic rules, but let me just state them out just in case. 3 basic rules. Number 1, 1 strategy meta, 2 scorer and 1 defender main strategy. Number 2, match attribute for your main strategy. Number 3, side strategy are filled starting from the weakest stamina members. There is no point in picking by lowest appeal because you don't even know if you use the weak member in your main strategy or not. The stamina damage only gets higher and higher as you progress. You don't want to get stuck with low stamina fillers in harder stages, so you better settle with them now. Here's the general process you should go through when building your team. There are 6 steps. Choose 2 scorers with suitable appeal, choose 6 lower stamina as fillers, a defender that can sustain in green depending on stamina and damage, specific counters for tricky stages, try the song, retire if needed. Finally, tweak your scorers, defenders or fielders based on the result. Skip this step if you are satisfied with the result. If you fail a song, the voltage you reach until you fail the song will be counted. But if you retire, the attempt will not be counted and you get to retain the PB you used. If you fail a song, or if you are not satisfied with the result, you can always retire. Remember to enable continuous show mode at live show settings so that the live will continue even after you fail a song, or else you won't be able to retire. Here are some examples where you want to retire. When you fail a life, when you fail an appeal chance, when your defender fails to maintain your stamina in green, when you overkill, when you need just a little push to reach voltage requirement, when you want to proc powerful actives like Initial Circus Ruby or Fast Princess Mari, or when the cleanser just wouldn't cleanse. Abuse retire as much as possible to get the best result. Once you are satisfied with the result, build according to how much voltage you need. If you are close, build a weaker team. If you are halfway there or less, build a similarly strong team. Also be aware of what members you need to save for later. Don't forget about your planning. That's all for the team building part. Here's the summary of this long video. First is preparation phase. Follow this priority when upgrading your members. Upgrade your weakest attribute first, then upgrade your bond board, upgrade every member level to max, prepare brooches, bracelets and necklace, and prepare insight skills. Next is planning phase. Find out how far you were advanced, find out which attribute is most and least used, and find out exhausting and tricky stages. Low AC voltage songs usually have lower than 8100 original life power requirement, while tricky stages have features that cannot be cheesed. Follow this priority when planning your scores. Assign your defender based on stamina damage. Finally, the team building phase. Follow this general process, but don't forget about what you planned in the planning phase. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching the entire thing. I'd like to thank Suyo for the DLP stage list. Make sure to really check that out, and also my DLP stage choice table, as these will help you plan your DLP better. Links in the description below. Thanks to Reddit user RayQ09 for his written guide on DLP and his discussion with me. He really gave me a few more insights to help me finish this video. You can check out his written guide link in the description. If you like this video, do like, subscribe, ring the bell, follow me on Twitter and Reddit, and pledge your support in Patreon or Ko-fi. In return, I will personalize your team for you. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more All Stars content.